you to stand. Mr. Briggs, if you will lead us in the invocation. Mr. Boone, if you will lead us in the pledge.
Let us pray. Father God, we are grateful for another day of life, another day that we get to serve you in this very unique way. We just ask your blessings on our meeting here this evening, the board. We just ask that you give us the wisdom and discernment we need to make the decision that is for the best for this system. We ask your blessings on all of our staff, our parents, our students, that we can work collectively together for the betterment of those you have put under our charge. We're also grateful for the tax that we were able to pass and the money that will be coming to our staff, much needed money to our staff. And be with us next week as we have some very cold weather coming in. Be with all those who will be out there in those elements. Just bless us tonight. And in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Again, we want to thank you all for coming out to our meeting on tonight. So happy to see former assistant superintendent tell his age. My junior high principal, Mr. Richard Kennedy, with us tonight, and still that same smile on his face. Thank you for being out here tonight, and to each of you as well. We just want to thank you. There are agendas down front. If you have not received a copy of the agenda, with that said, we'll move to agenda item number 4. Administer oath of office to board member District 2, Mr. Chad Dorsett. Did I say that right? Dorsett?
Mr. Dorsett, if you please stand. Raise your right hand and repeat after me, please. I state your name.
I, Chad Dorsett,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
and the laws of the United States
and the laws of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
and the laws of this state,
and the laws of this state,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
and I will faithfully and impartially
discharge and perform
discharge and perform
all the duties incumbent upon me
all the duties incumbent upon me
as member of the school board for District 2,
as member of the school board for District 2,
according to the best of my ability
according to the best of my ability
and understanding.
and understanding.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, sir.
Welcome aboard, Mr. Dorsett. We look forward to the journey working with you, and we look forward to great things as we move this school system forward. Agenda item number 5. Do you have any family here with you tonight before we go any further?
A few.
You want to recognize yourself?
Oh man, we'll start on the front. My mom, Tawana, my father, James, my wife, Kelly, my nephew, Emmett, my son, Jathan, my sister-in-law, Berlin, my niece, Ella, my live-in son, Nathan Hester, my son, Jackson, his girlfriend, Maddie, my mother-in-law, Lori, and my father-in-law, David.
Thank you all for being here in support of your husband, your son, your father, your friend. Thank you for being here in support of Mr. Dorsett. Okay, agenda item number 5. Approval of minutes for the December 12th, 2024 regular meeting. Let me get a motion.
So moved.
Second. Motion by Mr. Breland, second by Reverend Brown, to approve the minutes of December 12th, 2024. Any discussion from the public? Any discussion from the board? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Ayes have it, motion is carried. Agenda item number 6, election of officers of the board, 2025 through 2026. Mr. Gordon.
Thank you, Mr. President. At this time, I'd like to open the floor for nominations for president of the school board.
I nominate Mr. Leslie McKinley as our president.
Second. Just a second. Okay. Any other nominations at this time? there's no other nominations, we will close the nomination period and then we can all vote. Or you can vote, excuse me. What's it? No, you can call the vote, yeah. All in favor?
Okay, all in favor of this nomination, let it be known by saying aye. Opposed, it's the same. Ayes have it, motion is carried. Thank you for your vote of confidence, as your leader, as we lead in 2025.
At this time, we'll open the floor for nominations for vice president. We need a motion and a second. Yes, sir.
I'd like to nominate Mr. McKenzie for vice president. Second.
I'd like to nominate, Scott Reed.
I'll second.
We have two nominations. There are no more nominations. Nominations are now closed. Mr. McKenzie, if you don't mind calling for a vote, we can do one at a time. All in favor for Mr. McKenzie, we'll vote, and then if that carries, there'll be no second vote. If it doesn't carry, we'll vote the second vote.
Okay, let's do a roll call vote on Mr. McKenzie.
Mr. Giles?
No.
Reverend Brown?
For.
Mr. McKenzie?
For.
Sorry.
Vote for myself.
No, sir. Mr. Boone?
For.
Mr. Breland?
Against.
Mr. Pettit?
Again.
Ms. Tricia?
Four.
Okay. We have 3 noes, 3 fours.
Well, and then let's call for the second. If there's a tie, then Mr.
No, I didn't call Mr. McKinley.
Then Mr. McKinley's gonna be the deciding vote if there's a tie.
So we have 3 fours and 3 noes.
Okay, next we'll do a roll call vote for Mr. Breland.
1 second. Mr. Giles?
Yes.
Reverend Brown?
No.
Mr. Boone?
No.
Mr. Pettit?
For.
Ms. Tricia?
No.
And Mr. Yes. I know I was missing one. Okay, Chad. Sorry, Mr. Gorsuch.
Yeah.
So you're a yes for Mr. Breland?
Correct.
Okay. So we have 1, 2, 3 no's, 1, 2, 3 yeses.
So there's a tie. Mr. McKenzie is president. You cast your vote to break the tie.
Kendall McKenzie, Vice President.
Congratulations, Jim.
Thank you. Before we proceed, things like this happen, it appears we're the divided board, but we're not. We voted on our opinions, our conscience, so now let's move forward. Coach McKenzie and I thank you for your vote of confidence as we move this board forward in this year. So now we're gonna pause for a special recognition by the superintendent.
This time, I'd like to ask our, I'm return now, the retired Mr. Wayne Coon to please step forward. We'd like to present a plaque, the board and myself for your 38 years of service, Mr. Wayne. We had a reception for him a little earlier, and we sure are gonna miss him, so thank you, Mr.
Thank you so much. I've already spoken to you before, but I certainly have enjoyed and legitimately have enjoyed 38 years of working in the school system, working with boards. Some of you are work for your, Mr. Boone, I worked for his father and your father too, and your grandfather on the school board, Jennifer Stewart on the school board. So I appreciate it so much. I know you got a lot on your agenda, so I just thank you so much. Y'all have already heard things I'd like to say. One last joke and I'm out of here.
Go ahead.
All right. Well, this one, I gave it to y'all a long time ago, but it's in the news now. You know, it's all in the news about our state and the 10 Commandments and our school and all. So I thought y'all would be interested in knowing the real origin of the 10 Commandments and what happened with Moses. You know, Moses was leading the Israelites into the desert and things got rough for him and people were beginning to rebel. And so he went up on the mountain and to speak to God, and he said, God, this nation is a real headache. And God said, here, Moses, take these 2 tablets.
Garber, you got a tough act to follow.
It's tough. I'm just glad he left us with one.
Okay, agenda item number 7 is consider a motion to adopt a resolution declaring January as School Board Recognition Month. Superintendent Thomas.
Yes, this time I'd like to ask you to adopt, this resolution for our school board, recognition month, the month of January, but I'd also like our, everyone out there to give our board a hand. They work really hard and we appreciate all of you very much. We're gonna vote for that, and then I'm gonna call your names out after that and give certificates to our board members that have received training hours this year. All right.
Can we get a motion to accept agenda item number 7?
I believe to do so.
Motion by Mr. Boone, second by Reverend Brown. Any discussion from the public? Any discussion from the board? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed is the same. Ayes have it, motion's carried.
At this time, I'm gonna have Ms. McGee come forward, and I'm gonna call out your names for your certificates. After the board meeting, if you will stick around, we're gonna take a picture then, and that way you can stay seated, okay? So this time, first, we're gonna recognize our certified board members to have received 20 or more hours in 2024. First, we have Mr. Keith Giles. Sitting out in the audience, and I miss her so much, Miss Marcia Newman. Mr. Scott Breland. And Mr. Frankie Crosby. Next, we have board members' training hours for 2024, and I'm gonna call out there the number that they did receive in total. Those were everybody that received at least 20. Mr. Keith Giles received 26 and a half hours. Ms. Marcia Newman, 27 and a half hours. Reverend Brown, 2 hours. Mr. Kendall McKenzie, 10 and a half hours. Mr. Boone, 9 hours. Mr. Scott Breland, 27 hours. Mr. Pettit, 14 hours. Mr. Crosby has received 21 hours. Ms. Tricia Crosby received 1 hour. And Mr. McKinley, 15 and a half hours.
Thank you. Agenda item number 8, consider a motion to adopt LSBA Code of Conduct for Louisiana School Board members. That's on your screen, that's on your, that you got a chance to look at. And this is the Code of Conduct that monitors our behavior and our conduct as school board members. Can we get a motion to accept?
Motion to do so. Second.
Motion by Coach McKenzie, second by Mr. Boone. Any discussion from the public? Any discussion from the board? All in favor, be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed is the same. Ayes have it, motion is carried. Agenda item number 9, Consider a motion to adopt a resolution authorizing the execution and delivery of a cooperative endeavor agreement by and between the Educational Facilities Improvement District of the Parish of Washington, State of Louisiana, and the Parish Board of the Parish of Washington, State of Louisiana, providing for other matters in connection therewith. Can we get a motion?
I move to do so.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Boone, second by Mr. Giles. Any discussion from the public? Any discussion from the board? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed is the same. Ayes have it, motion is carried. And this deals with the resolution on, accepting and adopting the 1 penny sales tax that was passed back in December. And again, we want to take this time to thank everyone for your support of that. And as we said earlier, when you see our school system employees, pat them on the back and tell them, thank you, job well done. Anything you want to add?
Just, the FID board met a little bit earlier. Adam Parker, Butler Snow, we helped with the election. The FID met and basically canvassed the returns and all the other things you're used to seeing with tax elections. This is a separate district. This is a cooperative endeavor agreement, which allows all the funds collected to be remitted to the school board. There's no real further action that's needed to be taken after this, and the funds will go to the purposes stated in the tax. The proposition language also pointed out that prescription drugs are accepted as are groceries approved for further preparation, so those won't be included in the sales tax receipts. Starts April 1st. We'd start it faster, but we have parish e-file and other systems we need to work with, so April 1st, 2025 is a 10-year term.
Thank you.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Agenda item number 10, approval of a cooperative endeavor agreement by and between the Educational Facilities Improvement District of the Parish of Washington, State of Louisiana, and the Parish School Board of the Parish of Washington, State of Louisiana, dated as of January 16, 2025. Can we get a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Brennan, second by, Mr. Boone. Any discussion from the public? Any discussion from the board? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed is the same. Ayes have it, motion is carried. Agenda item number 11, presentation of November 2024 financial statements. Ms. Knight.
Good evening, everyone. We're going to start with our sales tax comparison report. And again, we are looking at November of 2024. So the first set of numbers that you see are going to be the Washington Parish Bogalusa split, so the 45-55% split. And as you see, we are down November of 2024, 3.59%. That's about $10,800 for the month, but up around $19,000 year to date. And then if you go further down the page, you're going to see the district-wide sales tax distribution. That's the full penny, down $15,000 thereabouts, or 3.73% compared to November of 2023, and up 87.6 thousand year to date, or up 6.04%. Our regular collections from the sheriff's office were down from the prior November. Specifically, P&M collections, that's going to be your auto sales, those were down. However, remote dealer collections were up. There were, only two, looking at the reports, there were only two unusual transactions. One was, in the 2023 year, and then one was in 2024. And so the net effect of all of these was a decrease for the month of November of 2024. Any questions regarding the sales tax report? If not, we'll move on to the general fund. First, we look at the balance sheet. And your total assets, $16.6 million. November of twenty-four were $771,000 compared to $487,000 in November of twenty-three, leaving your total equity at $15.8 million at November of 2024 versus $15.7 million at November of 2023. Swipe, turn the page, then you will find our statement of revenues and expenditures for November for the general fund. And you'll see a deficit for the month of around $12,000 compared to a surplus.
Could you try again?
The prior November of $506,000. And some of the major components there, early childhood funding in 23 that had been received yet not distributed. That was an aspect of 2023 that, elevated those numbers. The 5% increase, of course, on the 2024 numbers affects most expenditure categories. And we have collected, like we talked about earlier, lower sales tax for this month. And our MFP revenue for the month is down as well. And we've, discussed that at length in prior discussions. Our year-to-date surplus at the end of November of 24 was around $936,000 for the year-to-date compared to November of 2023, $2.2 million. And again, some of the same reasons. The decrease in MFP funding. Year-to-date, that's been a $347,000 impact on our financials. Like I said earlier, the 5% raise impacts nearly all expenditure categories on the revenue and expenditure statement. And again, going back to the CCAP early childhood funds that had been received in 23 and not yet distributed. So those factors made up the difference for those 2 years. Are there any questions regarding the general fund? Okay. If not, we will move on to school lunch. And so your balance sheet for school lunch, in assets, total assets of, in November of 24, $971,000 compared to $1.17 million at November of 23. I did want to point out, that first number, cash being in the negative, we are not overdrawn. Just wanted to tell you that. The bank account is comprised of all school lunch funds. So you have school lunch, you have the supper program, you have, the summer program. All of those are together. So one fund may owe the other fund. So that's where that difference is. So yes, we do have money in the school lunch account. Total liabilities, around $50,000 in November of 24 versus $0 in November of 23. So your equity, which is your assets less your liabilities, for November of 24 is going to be $921,000 compared to $1.17 million in November of 24. And so turning the page, you're going to have your statement of revenues and expenditures for school lunch. A surplus in November of 24 of around $13,000 compared to a surplus of about $7,400 in November of 23. Year to date, at November 24, a surplus of $53,000 compared to a surplus year to date of the prior year of $123,000. And we've discussed some of these differences, as we've gone the past few months. Of course, the 5% raise comes into effect, and then the change of beginning the payroll year in August for, food services versus in September, which is the numbers that you would see in the, 23-24 school year. So, those two things were the major contributors to that difference. And are there any questions? If not, that concludes the financial report for November.
Thank you, Ms. Knight, for that report. Any questions? We'll move on to agenda item number 13. Discuss and take appropriate action regarding the request. 12, I'm sorry. I'm saying 13, but reading 12. Discuss and take appropriate action regarding request for proposals for security cameras. Ms. Knight.
Yes, these next three agenda items will deal with projects that will be funded by the Louisiana School and Nonprofit Security Grant Program, which comes through the Governor's Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness. And each of our schools was awarded $50,000 to be used to enhance their security features at their respective schools. So each principal was polled to look at his or her school's individual needs regarding security. There were three major items that came up: security cameras, security doors, and fencing. And we asked the principals, to rank their needs. We received 4 proposals for cameras. Because of the technical nature of this project, we used a RFP, or request for proposal process, and you have a little more leeway with an RFP. You can look at other factors, in addition to just going with the lowest cost. There are other factors to consider. Since this is so technical in nature, we did have our IT team review the proposals. And I'll kind of go through what they discussed with me. Micon has done work with us before, and you'll see them in some of the other proposals later. But nothing this technical. Security First, their contract license, when I went through and checked, everyone's contract license, that they sent, theirs had actually expired, which was unfortunate. They did want me to relay to you that they have reapplied, but that is a process, it may take a few weeks. But I will say that a contractor license was a requirement in the RFP document. So that's going to leave us with Homeland and GoTechie. You'll see the proposals there. Now, remember I said, each principal, they kind of ranked their needs. So, you may see, they may have decided to go with, something else. Maybe, maybe they didn't want to, maybe they decided not to go with cameras. Maybe they decided to do something else with those funds. And so, we're leaving them some leeway to be able to do that. You'll notice that Homeland did not present a proposal for Franklinton Primary. This was during the holidays, and I'm sure it was difficult to to arrange a meeting. Each proposer was to walk through with the principal and get an idea of what they were looking for. You'll also notice that GoTechie actually submitted a proposal for the junior high. Ms. Polk has since opted that she's going to use her grant funding for fencing as her, as her primary, as her primary objective. And so you will see FJHS listed on here, but it's not included in the grand total, because it's honestly, it's unlikely she's going to, have the funds to use that, because she's going to need those funds up somewhere else. Both Homeland and GoTechie were studied by the tech team, as I said, both had solid proposals. On speaking with the IT team, there was an edge to, go techie. There was, an edge to go techie. I'm gonna pass out. We did score the bids, and this is for all three sets that you're gonna have in front of you. I'm just gonna take one pass it. Just so you can have something in front of you, we did say in the RFP document, we were gonna look at, three different criteria, and that's just how we scored them, on, looking at everything. So I just wanted to, give you a heads up on that. So we do, recommend going with Go Techie. But ultimately, of course, that's your decision. I will say that, Security First did have a good proposal, but their license was, had expired.
I want to make a comment on, each one of the schools, as Ms. Dana said, we wrote their grant tailored to their school, and as she said, there was only certain things you could do with this grant. Fencing, doors, and cameras, things like that. I do want to mention, I see Ms. Missy out in the audience there, I want y'all to know, with the junior high being a historical building, there's only certain things you can do. So when we look at that, first thing you would think, as security, you would want a fence all the way around that outside, right? Well, you can't because of the historical. So I just want to throw some of those things in there. Now, she can, in the back in her alleyways, as long as that fence does not touch that building. Okay, so just to give you, we have called the historical building site and get the legalities of what we can and can't do there. But just wanted to tell you that, and then, some want to put doors to block off for someone when you first come in their entryway, that you can't get down those halls. So some have written for doors and things like that, and it had to go through fire marshal and stuff, so, and then more security cameras. So I just wanna kinda add that in there, what we're doing, and, every school is different, and some schools already have the entryway that's blocked off, some did not, so everybody's got a little different thing going on, so just, I mentioned that to you right now.
And I just wanted to reiterate that each school, the maximum we can spend is, $50,000. So, if perhaps, they wanted some cameras, but they only get like $25,000 worth of cameras, we'll make, we can use, 25 in some other category. But we can't have one school having $50,000 worth of cameras and $50,000 worth of fencing. We're confined to just $50,000 per school. So I just wanted to make that clear. And that is in all of the documents, in the RFP document and the bid documents, to avoid that situation, where, in two different categories combined, they would actually get more, one school would get more than, a $50,000 share. We simply can't do that. So I will leave it to the board.
So before we put this to a vote, there's a roughly $47,000 difference between Homeland and Go Techie, with Go Techie being $47,000 higher. And on your rating, when you got material quality, one has a 30, one has a 40. So, what does Homeland lack?
Right, the figures that run across, Go Techie does not, Homeland is not including the junior high. The primary, yes, the primary is not included in that total. So the
Okay,
difference is actually,
It's still about $11,000, but at the same time, explain the material quality. One has a 30, one has a 40.
the tech team went through and, they gave us specs, as far as what they were looking at. And Danny's were, the Go Techies were very, detailed, as, regarding as to, what they would have. Also in that, in that calculation is, you know, not just the materials, but also the service as far as, just availability. You know, with someone being local, would be easier as far as, servicing these units.
One more question. Has either one of these vendors done any work for us in the past?
Okay. Homeland and Kentucky have both.
So, cause I know Mount Hermon has some problems with the Homeland Security, where it wouldn't pull up and all, so, and that's the specialist who's been in there. And in my opinion, she's been in these schools and she sees it. I mean, I knew, cause they told me some of the problems that Homeland had with these cameras. And if we have problems with them, she's the expert, that's who I would go with for her opinion. Just my opinion. But I know they were having problems with the Homeland Securities in Mount Hermon, where they couldn't play back and they couldn't do certain things. Well, if you failed once, I'm not gonna go back to you. The kids are our most important thing, and guess what? That's what I go with.
You know, I'd say we passed this tax and our local people, we need to support too. And Go Techie is a local, business right here in Franklinton. They have done work for us and they did excellent work. I will say, I just, you know, gonna voice that and tell you that we have them in a school right now. And the principal even actually called me to say what an excellent job they were doing and the work that they were getting. So I do wanna say that to you, and they are local.
If you're recommending that we go with Go Tech, what's the pleasure of the board?
I'm gonna make a motion to go with Go Techie.
Motion by Coach McKenzie, second by Reverend Brown, that we accept the bid of Go Techie. Any discussion from the public? Any discussion from the board? All in favor, be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed is the same, ayes have it, motion is carried. Agenda item number 13, discuss and take appropriate action regarding bids received for security doors. Ms. Knight.
Yes, and these are actual true bids, not RFPs. So, two schools requested security doors, Enon Elementary, that's gonna be, you know, the main focus of their school security funding, and Pine High School. We received two bids, both companies, accompanied Mr. Ingram on walkthroughs through the schools. Micon came in significantly lower, than, CBX Construction. And Micon, you know, has done work with us before. And I recommend, selecting Micon services for the installation of security doors at an estimated cost of $49,200.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation coming from Ms. Knight. What's the pleasure of the board?
I move to do so.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Boone, second by Mr. Giles. Any discussion from the public? Any discussion from the board? All in favor, be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed is the same. Ayes have it, motion is carried. Agenda item number 14, discuss and take appropriate action regarding bids received for fencing.
Yes, I've attached the, bid proposals for fencing. We have 3 bidders. Below is highlighted in yellow. Thomas prepared estimates for other schools that later opted, you know, to do another safety feature. I did pull those out and they're highlighted and they're shaded.
There isn't, they don't have an
They
attachment.
don't have that.
No.
We don't have an attachment.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I did attach it.
Oh, yeah.
Get there.
you got it.
Okay. But Thomas Construction, you know, when you look apples to apples, came in at around $132,000. And we're recommending Thomas Construction for the fencing project. Again, I'm sorry. we didn't have it.
I was worried about the name when Ms. Thomas said
I do-
they
I
would
do
not
send
tender.
it.
No, no.
So your recommendation is that we go with the bid from Thomas Construction?
Found it.
Oh, you found it?
It's gonna be under item number 15. It's just attached to the wrong.
Oh,
Good job, Chief. Getting close over here.
okay, based upon what we've heard from Ms. Knight, what's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to take Thomas Construction.
Motion by Coach McKenzie, second by Mr. Pettit. Any discussion from the public? Any discussion from the board? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed is the same. Ayes have it, motion is carried. Agenda item number 15, consider a motion to authorize bid for surplus property. Ms. Knight.
Yes, there are 3 modular buildings at, Franklinton Junior High that are no longer being utilized. And upon discussions with Mr. Ingram and Ms. Thomas, those units have been deemed surplus and are eligible to be sold. They have been appraised. Unit A, appraised for $30,982, as did Unit B, and Unit C was a little bit more at $35,958. And we recommend that the board authorize accepting surplus bids for these pieces of property.
I do wanna tell you that we are looking at the ramps on them to remove those. They cannot be used, on certain things. We thought about, in some places, there will not be, ADA compliant because they have to be so high, but we were thinking about taking those, Mr. Mike, is in case they could be used at some point, because those are pretty expensive, so we would have those. But they are an eyesore. I see Misty out there. They're on her campus, at Franklin Junior High, and they are an eyesore there, and the condition is not good enough for students. We'll tell you that right now. So that's why we wanna get something for them and use it for something else. It's important.
Do I remember something in a discussion about if they were moved, they could fall apart? Is that the ones?
That's the one.
That's the one, so.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the board? Motion by Mr. Breland, second by Mr. Booker, that we consider a motion to authorize bids for this surplus property. Any discussion from the public? Any discussion from the board? All in favor, know by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. Ayes have it, motion is carried. Agenda item number 16, public comment for early childhood community networks coordinated funding request. Ms. Crowe.
Yes, the Early Childhood Community Network, we've just requested seats for our early learning centers and for the school sites.
Okay. Agenda item number 17, superintendent's report.
First off, I want to say congratulations, Mr. Dorsett. I'm looking forward to working with you, and as I told you at our school board training, we're blessed to have law enforcement on our, board, so looking forward to it, Mr. Dorsett. Got some big shoes to fill out here. No, also, I just want to remind our board that we have our Teacher of the Year banquet on January 27th. That's at 6 o'clock at Bo's Steakhouse. It's always an important time for us to celebrate our teachers. Monday, we will be closed in observance of Dr. Martin Luther King Day. There will be a community program at R.W. Johnson Auditorium on Monday at 10 o'clock. And we will be monitoring the weather right now. This week, we'll monitor and let you know as soon, and I know all of us will be watching our, the news and watching the weather, so I'll let y'all know as we watch. Thank you.
Any board member have anything they would like to add before we close? As president, I will close with these remarks. Welcome on again, Mr. Dorsett. I will say this, that in the last 6 years of being on this board, especially the last 3 maybe, I've seen this board come together. And I've seen this board work through some difficult situations. But I want to assure all of you, regardless of where the president lives, regardless of where the vice president lives, regardless of where the superintendent lives, regardless where the next in line lives, we all have Washington Parish school system at the top of our hearts. Now, do I have a little bit more love for the Wildcats of Guanador? Sure. That's my alma mater. But just because I love the Wildcats, don't mean I wanna see the Raiders fall. Doesn't mean I wanna see the Demons fail. We love all of these schools in spite of where we live at. And so last year, we had 4 big ticket items that we wanted to address. First, we had to get us the superintendent. We had to get a millage renewal passed. We had to deal with a 5% raise that we didn't have money to do. Ms. Dana and the superintendent done a heck of a job on making that happen. And then we had to get this 1 penny sales tax passed. Those were 4 big ticket items that we did. And the key to it was getting the superintendent in place. And I think she has worked diligently with all 9 of us. I've seen her do things that we had pleaded for since I've been on this board, and this is beginning year number 15 for me. She has taken school board meetings into the community. We're going to schools in each of our districts to have school board meetings. Now, if we were stuck on where we graduated from, then we'd be having meetings in Vornado and Pine. But we are not stuck on where we live. We are about all of these children. We will be recognizing students at these schools. When we go to these schools, each principal has been tasked with recognizing accomplishments at their schools. And when we are at Pine, I'm not sitting back with a frown on my face because that's not my school. When we're at Mount Hermon, we are applauding all of our students. And as you saw from these proposals, we're trying to make all of these schools safe. We're trying to get all of these schools to be where they are. And I want you all to have the utmost confidence in us that we are a board that cares about our students regardless to where they go. And again, I get tickled pink when I see, what his name, Jacob Smith, on the internet somewhere, Facebook, because of what he's doing at the University of Washington. I get tickled pink when I see somebody from Vornado get tickled pink about all of these kids, because why? They represent little bitty Washington Parish. A few years back, we received some recognition of being number one, we were one of the high poverty districts in the state. But we also became one of the highest performing school districts in the state as well. So we have a lot to be proud of here. So I don't want anybody to ever be led to think that it's about where we come from. We are no good by ourselves. But when the 9 of us come together and support the vision of this lady here, we're gonna move this school system forward. And the last thing I'm gonna say, don't wait till Monday to try to wrap your pipe. If your pipe is wrapping, don't start doing that on tomorrow. Take care of your business, stay safe. Go root for your favorite team on Monday night. I'm not gonna tell you who mine is, but mine don't win. Can we get a motion to adjourn? Meeting adjourned.